Bienvenidos, worldwide fans of our planet's hottest entertainment with an edge. You got Jaime En Fuego here, welcoming you to my namesake program, Enfuegotainment. Damn Rizzle, y'all. You can just call me Fuego for short. And yeah, it's Thursday, and it's time for another Retro Fuego review. I do these every Thursday because, you know, the whole silly trope is Throwback Thursday. And I know Flashback Friday is also a thing, but neither here nor there. I'm siding with Thursday because Friday, at least for me, is still a new movie day, even if we're not really getting new movies in the theaters anymore, which is heartbreaking, at least for the time being. But this is essentially a program where I go and I explore a film that is at least a few years old, if not decades longer. And it can be either one that I saw and just very, very vaguely remember from you know, years past, my childhood, whatever, or a first-time watch. And I always distinguish that this is a movie I very distinctly remember my parents watching and being very charmed by. I don't really remember very much of it, though, aside from Daryl Hannah's butt. That is apparently not seen in the Disney Plus version of this film that is on their streaming service. They decided to put some extra hair on her tushka. And yeah, this is none other than Ron Howard's 1984 film Splash. And back when Tom Hanks was still very much in the comedic realm of things, and yet between Daryl Hannah, John Candy, Tom Hanks, Eugene Levy, who's hilarious in this movie, this is one that I can remember bits and pieces, as I said, specific pieces, I jest. But nonetheless, aside from like the basics of the narrative, this is not a movie that I had revisited, especially in my adulthood, so I didn't remember this movie at all. And I just had them send it to me on the Netflix because I'm still an old fogey, and I have Netflix that come through the mail because there's certain stuff that streams. When I heard about the censorship of this, and on top of that, I also checked this out because of the Hey Rory, which has become this thing on the SEN. So basically, the Schmoes Knows guys, Christian Harloff and Mark Ellis, basically the Schmo Down Entertainment Network, I guess is what Christian is calling it now, but it's basically, he has a show called SEN Live in the Morning, and it's very aspiring to be Howard Stern. It's not always of that hilarity, but I don't know, it just the constant joking about John Candy and his like silly pervertedness in this movie. And this is a PG movie, by the way, you know, but the humor is rather raunchy at times, and I mean, it's racy, which is why my true and blue Christian parents, I find it so amusing that they were okay with this movie, where a guy takes a mermaid and proceeds to get down on the bang down with her quite a bit after she gets legs and is on land for these 7 days and stuff. So I would imagine there's stuff my parents, when they were in their younger years, you know, were more inclined to overlook in the early 80s in comparison with the very just straight-laced and offended by anything racy that they have slowly become over the years. But Splash is a charmer. I still contend that it is to this day. Yes, you do have the two brothers, Tom Hanks being the very, you know, I don't know, hopeless romantic, wanting that sort of connection, whereas his brother, played by John Candy, who's hilarious in this movie, and rest peacefully, sir, definitely a comedic legend, you know, a guy who set the stage for, you know, peeps like, you know, Chris Farley, who came later on and stuff. But, I mean, Candy has always been hilarious, in my opinion, from, like, Canadian Bacon to that, I don't know, Uncle Buck. I mean, the guy was hilarious, awesome, even being a charmer in something like Home Alone. So, you know, just seeing him back on screen again when I hadn't watched a film of his in a while, definitely awesome. Uncle Buck's one that I should probably... That's another I could do here on, you know, Retro Fuego, because I don't remember that movie for shit, and I know that's an early John Hughes, and has a pre-Home Alone Macaulay Culkin before, you know, both of them start separate in that movie. They don't have any scenes together or anything. But Splash is fun, man, and the dichotomy of the brothers is amusing. The fact that Candy being the womanizer, he's stoked early on in the film after we see the flashback of Tom Hanks as a kid seeing this young, beautiful mermaid girl when he falls off a boat. And yet, we find out John Candy is still doing the same despicable stuff of dropping coin and looking up the skirts of the girls. It's ridiculous, man. He's still doing it all grossed up, and all grossed up. He's all grossed up, and you're all grossed up. And he's still doing it. Yeah, he's only somehow refined his ways in whatever degree. But yeah, he's still despicable, but lovable is the way that I could put it. And so it's a nice counterbalance and contrast with him and Hanks. And so Hanks ends up running into the same, you know, mermaid played by Daryl Hannah in the adult version after, yeah, he has this impulsive night of drinking at this wedding that they went to, and of course at the wedding, Hanks's character having just gone through a breakup with his longtime girlfriend that he admitted to not loving, and of course that ended the relationship. He's like, well, I don't think I love you or whatever, and yeah, so he has this crisis scenario, and he ends up, up the coast, having gone from New York City, and he's, I'm trying to remember, it's Cape Cod, maybe it's Cape Cod, anyway, it was a few days ago that I watched this. Those specifics are unimportant. The biggest is that he reconnects with her, and yet in the same right, the only real villainousness that we have is Eugene Levy's character, who believes that there are mermaids, and he wants to capture and experiment on and study and stuff like that. And so he is on the chase of Daryl Hannah's character, and he goes from up the coast down back into New York after she follows Tom Hanks there. And I mean, yes, it's silly, but once again, it's a fantasy film to a degree set in modern day life. It's definitely a fish out of water, but bad dad joke, I know. But no, it's they have genuine chemistry, and it's very sweet, very convenient that she learns English so quickly just from watching TV. But yeah, I mean, the typical fish out of water scenario, as I joked about, it's tried and true here, especially when she goes and explores the city by herself. And I mean, it's a fun movie, and that's why people were even talking about it again upon its emergence on Disney Plus, because of the fact that, yeah, it still holds up as just, it's not as squeaky clean as some PG stuff that you would get in this day and age, but I mean, great cast, great chemistry, genuine laughs, and the ending, though, I kind of have issues with, but it's not as ludicrous as the end of the Kanye West episode where he goes to swim around with the fish sticks in the music video on South Park. So in any event, I really enjoyed the hell out of this film. It's one that I hope is rediscovered since it's on Disney Plus now. I mean, yeah, before segueing into the dramatic, Hanks was definitely, he was this wide-eyed, likable kind of guy, and he still is. I mean, he is still, having just played Mr. Rogers recently, he is most def the kind of actor who just has all of those facets, where he can be gritty in something like Saving Private Ryan. He can have just the dramatic gravitas of stuff like Philadelphia and Forrest Gump that actually got him the recognition. But it's fun to think that, yeah, the cross-dressing dude from Bosom Buddies, he, between films like this and Big, and one that I really want to review for Retro Fuego because it's been a long time since I've watched it, and I own it. I bought it for dirt cheap on DVD a number of years ago and just never revisited it, is Joe versus the Volcano. It's another one with him and Meg Ryan, and the two of them did Sleepless in Seattle together, and later on You've Got Mail, which is sort of nowhere near as good as Joe and Seattle, but nonetheless, I really enjoy doing these where I go back, I take a peek, I rediscover stuff, I admit if a film has aged good or bad or somewhere in the middle, and this is definitely, this is a 3-star for me. This is a 3 Fuego Fireball. This is a bueno film. I don't know if I would say it's Fuego, it's 4 stars. It's more like the 3 to 3.5 variety. Because of just some silly writing here and there, and some conveniences, especially something that happens with the redemption of sorts of Eugene Levy's character, and some of the outlandishness when the military gets involved and whatnot, but hey Rari, all that stuff is pretty funny, and once again, rest peacefully to Mr. Candy. So, I've been Jaime En Fuego. Gracias, a grande one to all of you. You can find moi on all social media sectors like Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, here on the YouTubies, and so here on my channel is where I cover stuff that is off of the beaten path of the Horror Show channel, where we've been going for over 6 years, and we cover everything spectacular. That's at youtube.com/The Horror Show channel. Trailer reactions, convention coverage, film reviews, book reviews, comics, video game let's plays. I do a weekly Stephen King show, so that is where, yeah, almost 33,000 subscribers, and where we get the predominance of our attention. But I'm around 10 subscribers from getting this one over 1,000 after restarting it last year, and yeah, it just opens up a lot of cool new creator opportunities for me on this personal channel to do comedy and more sci-fi and art house dramas, and I can embrace my inner geek with lots of Star Wars coverage, which I've done here before. But yeah, these Throwback Thursday retro Fuegos of sorts have been a lot of fun, so look forward to those every Thursday here, as well as a comic review on Wednesdays and a Star Wars show on Sundays, and on Mondays I do an animated Monday, so it's lots of fun. So in any event, peeps, gracias for a brief bit of your attention, and until the reel of Ka comes around to once more, hasta luego, Cinemigos constant, readers and viewers alike, because I do get both here, but I'm hopeful we share more of this film palaver sooner rather than later. And yeah, until then, watch more movies and stay indoors. Stay safe.